Hey everyone, this is Living for the Weeknight, and on today's episode, I am with the head honcho of drum and bass record label Rollout Records. So, the head of the label, Simon, also known as Si, has started the project about 3 years ago, and in his words, the label represents the deeper, darker, rolling side of drum and bass. So, we talk about how the project's gone 3 years in, how it started, what's lying in the future, as well as what it's meant for Si and how the project has influenced his happiness. I think you're really going to enjoy this episode. Sai's like a very inspirational person to talk to be honest. Someone who you can just really tell, even though this project is happening outside of work, which isn't always the easiest thing, he loves it. He really loves it and he makes it happen. And it was actually like such a joy to interview him. If you hear a bit of echoing throughout the interview, I really apologise. There's not too much of it, just a few small editing issues, but it's not so bad to be honest. But yeah, enjoy. And also, if you're new here, please like, please follow, please whatever. I don't like saying that, but it does help with the algorithm and stuff. So whichever platform you're on, show some love, whether that's subscribing to the channel or just giving a rating or a thumbs up or whatever it might be. But thank you so much, and thank you for the continued support. I really appreciate it. But yeah, Si, how are you doing, mate? It's good to have you on finally.
Yeah, no, it's good. I know it's been a little bit of a long time coming, but yeah, I remember hearing about the plans for the podcast when we met like last summer. So it's like a bit of a full circle moment, kind of being involved now. So yeah, no, thanks for having me on, mate. I appreciate it.
No, it's good. It's like I remember. So like for context, Si and I met in Madrid, actually in a hostel, and I saw this guy wearing a Sofa Sound top. One of my favourite DnB labels, and I just went over him and showed him my Sofa Sound tattoo. Because it's rare. You don't really. I don't see people in just any DnB like merchandise in general when you're like traveling and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I've traveled quite a lot in life, and I'd say you're the second person I saw wearing DnB merch. The other person was like 2017 in Thailand wearing a Shogun top.
Nice. Yeah, I was the same when I was kind of traveling. I was searching for drum and bass, to be honest, all the time. But yeah, seeing you, mate, with the Sofa Sound tattoo, that was a wholesome moment.
Yeah,
of the trip.
And I guess that's just how we got chatting. And then before I knew it, I found out. Well, actually, I'll let you say it, Si. Si, tell me, who are you? What do you do for work, and what do you do outside of work?
So for work at the moment, it's changed probably since I've met you. So I'm working in recruitment at the moment. Been doing that for just about kind of 6 months or so. So that's all like kind of the healthcare side of things. And then outside of work, which is probably the reason I'm here, is the label. So Rollout Records. Yeah, that's my label. Been doing it for 3 years this month.
Wow.
So that's why there's a special project at the moment. So yeah, that's pretty much what I get up to most evenings and on the weekends, to be honest.
Oh, it's awesome. It's like, can you imagine my shock? I found someone who likes DnB, and then I found someone who just actually runs their own record label. But that's cool, man. That's cool. And I guess like to start, I'd just ask, what made you want to like set up your own label? Because it's not every day you meet someone who's like, yeah, I run a label.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one, really. I always say this story when people ask me, probably around, I don't know, when I was like 15, 16, when social media was getting really big, everyone was on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, all of that stuff. I just loved going through SoundCloud. I would just spend all of my hours, especially when I was at uni and stuff where you're not doing too much work. I'd just go through SoundCloud for hours and hours, deep into the depths of SoundCloud, finding these artists that I'd never heard of from kind of random places, not just the UK. And I always thought that these people make wicked music, and like half the time it's coming out for free, or they've had like 50 plays or 100 plays and no one knows about it. So at the start, I was just kind of like reposting all of these kind of random tunes. And then all of a sudden I just thought, might as well just like get in contact with these people. I just thought their music was good enough. Why don't actually like properly release it to the world? So that's pretty much the motive for starting. And yeah, since there, we've kind of kept that whole kind of thing of getting kind of upcoming people to release music. Some people that have never released before, some people have released a few times. Some people have released with us and then gone on to big things, which for me was always the kind of the plan. I mean, maybe some labels, if they see an artist that was on their roster go onto a bigger label, would be like, oh damn, I've lost them. Whereas actual fact, I was just like, yeah, that's wicked. That's pretty much the whole reason why I started in the first place. You actually going on to bigger and better things, because that's what I thought you actually deserved in the first place, pretty much.
Ah, that's awesome, man. That is actually awesome. And like, what's it like reaching out to people and being like, hey, I've got this record label. Do you reach out to people to get them on, or is it a bit of a mixture where people will be just sending you tracks as well? I guess especially now, like you're 3 years in, it was probably a lot harder, I guess, at the start when you first set up.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a mixture. At the start, it was reaching out to people that I kind of like their music, and I had a bit of contact with them anyway, just probably commenting like sick and that's wicked on their SoundCloud tunes all the time. And then just kind of keeping in contact with them, seeing kind of what they're up to, what kind of music they're making. So yeah, at the start it's harder, because if you get someone, you kind of got to sell the label a little bit and say, oh, I'm planning to start a label, I want you to kind of release on it. And even for someone that probably aspires to be on big things, for a label that's just starting out, they're like, is it really worth it? Should I just hold out until kind of I get some recognition from a bigger label? So I get that. But then as kind of time's gone on, we do get sent a fair bit of music. I listen to all of the music that comes in, obviously, because this is still a hobby of mine, just listening to random music, but now it gets put in your inbox rather than just searching on SoundCloud sometimes. So yeah, sometimes that music's wicked, sometimes it's not quite right, but I'll always drop a couple of lines back and just say, yeah, mate, I like the style, just keep on sending us music, give them a little bit of feedback. And I think it's important just to kind of maintain contact with these people, because you could have someone that sends you a tune that's not quite right, and then 2 years see them release on Critical or like Sofa Sound and think like, fuck, I should have at least said like something back to that guy. So yeah, I really enjoy the listening to the music part of it. I'll never get bored of that. So yeah, it's a mixture. It's definitely a mixture at the moment, which and obviously we like artists that kind of get involved, like to kind of keep them on board as well. So there's a few, we don't like to sign anyone exclusively, obviously, because I don't really believe in that, especially for a label of our size. But keeping in contact with people, they'll send me some tunes if they've made some new bits, and yeah, we just kind of keep in contact that way and just kind of go from there.
Yeah, I agree with you on that exclusivity point, and it's quite because I like the industry in terms of like being real, like compared to other genres, like D&B is a bit more niche, and then you have the niches of the niches within D&B. So I think it's good for the community to just be all out there, support each other, try not hinder anyone really. Yeah, there is one label who does exclusivity, but I'm not going to name names. you know who it is. Yeah, anyone who likes D&B knows who it is, but I'm not going to say anything. Although, I don't know, they might have changed in recent years, but I remember they used to be like pure exclusivity in terms of, even stemmed down to like, I think they got rid of events, but it used to be like exclusivity down to events as well, which I always found was a weird thing.
Yeah, I've seen a bit of that. Not necessarily from labels, but sometimes from like venues in certain cities where like someone will play and they'll say you can't play here for another 2 years unless it's at one of our events or something, which I mean, I kind of understand why you do that, but at the same time, you're just hindering everyone else. So like, what's the point? And I don't know, we haven't put on major events, but if I saved up all my money to book like Break or like DLR or something, and then I save up all the money, send an email and said, sorry, played in your city like a year and a half ago, so I can't actually play now, I'll just be like, fuck.
Yeah, that's the thing. But you know, when you have tracks come through, what does it feel like when you hear one and the first time you're like, oh, this is a belter, and it's came to you?
I'll never get tired of that feeling. Just especially when it's like someone that I haven't heard of before, or even if it's someone that I've heard of and then they send some tunes in the inbox and I'm like, oh my God, they've actually sent us some music. Yeah, it's a good feeling, mate. I'm usually pretty rapid on the responses, like even less so now because I'm working in the office, but when I was working from home, if you sent me a tune that I really liked, I'd probably be responding in half an hour saying, yeah, what's the plan? So yeah, it's a great feeling, mate. It's nice that the labels, I mean, it's definitely not massive, but that people actually send music, because they want to release on the label. And usually in that email, you'll get a sentence saying like, I really like the sound and I think this would be a really good fit. And just even hearing that, even if the tunes aren't quite right for us at the moment, like that just makes me feel that I've done something worthwhile.
Yeah.
So it's a good feeling.
I can imagine. And what's it been like as well, just because of course you have your day job as well and you're running a whole record label, mate. How's that balance?
Yeah, it's tough. Like I said, before I was working in recruitment, I was like a trial coordinator for clinical trials, which was not as a full-on job, I reckon. It was more chilled, and I was working from home probably like 4 days a week. And I think with that, I'd just have my work computer set up and then my own laptop set up, and I could just kind of hop between doing different bits. So that I was balancing it a little bit. Probably shouldn't tell my ex-boss that, but I was definitely balancing it a bit when it came to emails that would come in or various things, just whether it be like a social media post or whatever. At my current job, it's different because I'm in the office like full time, 5 days a week, and it's quite long days, so it's like kind of 8 till 5:30. So yeah, it's harder, but I don't know. You ask anyone that runs a label of my size or gets into running a label, like if you don't love doing it, then you won't last. You'll see some labels that maybe come around and release 1 or 2 tunes or 1 or 2 releases and then kind of go a little bit quiet. And I think there's obviously always reasons for that, but one of the reasons is maybe that you probably don't love it as much as you should in terms of the whole process, and that includes like the admin stuff as well, like the costing and the banking stuff and all of that jazz and random stuff that you have to do. But when I was 15, 16 years old or however old I was when I started, just thinking, I'm going to set up a label. I wasn't thinking that I'd be looking at like spreadsheets and stuff when I was outside of work. So it's just one of those things. But I actually enjoy all of that side of it as well. And kind of like linked to a point, kind of a bit of this podcast, like work for me, I never grew up thinking I wanted to do this or do that. Work for me has always been to kind of make ends meet. So it doesn't really matter what work I do. Like recruitment, I've been doing it like 6 months, just thought I'd give it a go because I've heard the money can be all right. And I'll probably go off and do something else in a few years, who knows. But for me, it's I'll make some money, and that means that I can do what I want, which is the label and various other bits. So it's good. It's the balance is all right. It's not overwhelming at the moment.
That's good. And I think, as you said, like you really realise you got to love it to do it. Like the moment it starts feeling like it's all a chore, it's quite hard to get out of that after. Because as you said, there's so much of the stuff with it, like the admin, doing social media, budgeting, expenses. I think sometimes like most of the work is actually outside of the thing you're doing. Like for me, like most of the work that I do is outside of recording.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and then I always say this: it's a weird one when a release comes out, because the amount of kind of like work that you put into it. I mean, usually you've had the masters and stuff for quite a while. So one thing I'll always say is I'll listen to a tune, get it mastered, and I'll listen to it so many times. When the releases come out, I'm just like, I've forgotten what it's like to listen to it for the first time. So it's always interesting to see what the reaction is, because sometimes by release day, you kind of lose track of, is that going to go down really well, or maybe it's not going to go down that well. But yeah, there's a lot of other stuff with it, but it's all to the end goal really. So it's
definitely. And when I think about, as you said, because I imagine like you're working on a track for ages with an artist and you're constantly listening to it and doing work. I was wondering if it was the same, because when I do the podcasting, I find it quite hard sometimes to judge my quality of episode when I'm listening back, because I've listened to it so much, I've edited, it's been like a piece of work. And then sometimes I find I even need to give myself a bit of a break before I listen to it again, or even sometimes do something weird where I jumble the order and try and listen to it again, just because it's starting to, I guess like the podcast is just starting to all sound very similar to me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get that. I definitely get that. I think one thing that helps, so when I first started, I was doing it with my mate Doug. Big shouts to Doug. So it's only recently that he's taken a little bit of a step back. But having 2 set of ears is always good. I mean, like he would always kind of say to me, like, is that actually right? And maybe I'd be getting all gassed thinking, yeah, this is wicked. And he'd be like a bit of a calm influence saying, like, have a few more listens, like give it a few more days before you get back in touch with them, kind of thing. And I've took that on board. So there's a few people kind of in my close like friendship group that I'll send a few tunes to, maybe if I'm not 100% sure, just kind of get what their kind of vibe is. Even if I don't agree with them, it's just nice to hear their first impressions as well. And that helps a lot. So yeah, collaboration is key. even when you're doing it solo, collaboration is key.
Definitely. It's otherwise you can kind of get a bit of tunnel vision sometimes with all of this. Yeah. But no, it's good to hear your journey so far with it. And like, I guess these 3 years must have just gone by in a whiz, haven't they?
Yeah, it's been crazy, really. I mean, we because obviously I don't know when this is coming out, but we're doing the remix project at the moment, and that's to like celebrate 3 years. So that's been in the works for a little while, probably since year 2 or something like that. So it's crazy, but it does fly by, especially when you're working full time as well. And the releases just keep on coming, and it's not sometimes until the end of the year where do the classic social media post, thank you for all your support this year, and then you think, oh, like this is actually what we've done this year, and it's gone so quickly. So yeah, it does go quick, but I'm definitely not slowing down. If anything, I'm probably speeding up now, to be honest.
I love that, and it's I've seen you dropping the remix album, and like you had your first track come out, 000, right?
Yeah, 000. Yeah, crazy. Honestly, like little young me thinking that like 000 and a few of the others being on the label is just crazy. But that's another thing, like you said earlier, when you reach out to people. I think if I would have sent a kind of an email to kind of 000 asking them a while back to do a remix, they'd probably think twice and just think, oh, is it quite right? But the fact that they were already on board for it, had a tune that they really wanted to remix and just went with it, it's it's nice. Just it goes back to asking people to your tunes. I remember when we send out kind of the promo feedback as well. I just remember the first time that some of the big names that I admired were like listening to the tunes and just like putting some feedback saying that's sick. I mean, I'm still baffled when I read that now. I just think that's like the coolest thing ever. So that hasn't died at all.
It's awesome. I remember seeing your feedback, and like you had people like Doc Scott giving you feedback. It's awesome.
Good for the promos, Doc Scott. He's like a lot of the labels kind of the same size as us, even like a little bit smaller and upcoming. He listens to everything. He's a proper music man. That's why he's been doing it for decades.
Did you ever listen to his show in the pandemic?
Yeah, definitely a few times. Yeah, I loved it. I saw he recorded a mix quite recently, and obviously it was like a video mix where I think it was Keep Hush, and obviously he's calm when he's DJing, and I remember just like there's some people putting in the comments like, oh, this is like the most boring DJ ever, and I was like, you're so wrong. Like, he's one of the best DJs, and just because he's not like jumping up and down, putting his hands in the air and bumping into the crowd behind him, like that doesn't take anything away from the fact that he's pretty much one of the best DJs that I've seen live. I think just every time he kills it.
Every time he kills it, it's never the same. He has so many dubs as well. He has so many. Yeah. Now that event that he DJ'd at, I'm gutted because it was at a place that's maybe a 15-minute journey from where I live in London. Could have gone, but of course I had plans that night and couldn't make it. But I was pretty gutted because I could have got a ticket as well.
Yeah, I mean, he'll be back. Don't worry, he'll be back. He'll be going for another 2 decades. Don't worry.
Oh yeah, for sure. He's gonna be the rest of his DJ career will probably be longer than I'm alive. He's just gonna be time. He'll be around forever. But yeah, going back to that 000 track, I listened to it as well. It's good, man. It's good.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's a bit of a weird one because I don't know if you've listened to the original, but the original is quite like smooth. It's quite a liquidy track.
Oh yeah.
And it's got an MC on it called Press MC, who's not really an MC. Like the guy that made the tune, Matt, big up Matt, just made the tune. He skates quite a lot. Met this guy in the skate park, just spitting some bars randomly over some tunes in the skate park, and was like, yeah, that guy's pretty sick. So got him to hop on that tune. And then 000, when they said they wanted to remix that one, I was like, oh, I didn't really know what they were going to go for, but they just put the classic 0-0 kind of heavy hitting kind of rolling bass line, just funky, it was wicked, mate. That's I love listening to that tune for the first time, and that's one tune that's really grown on me as well. The more and more I listen to it, I'm like, yeah, that's just like a really good tune. I'm bigging myself up now. It sounds sad that I'm just picking up the tunes of the label, but I love the tune just as much as the next guy, pretty much.
Oh no, but you need to take victory. You need to take like happiness within those victories, though. It's important. It's important. And before I get on to the next section, I see our Zoom call is going to run out in a few minutes. Can I put the call down and then invite you to a new call, and then I think it should be fine. Okay, let me do that quickly. But yeah, before I was like talking about like, celebrating the victories and kind of leading from that, with, you love this, you love what you're doing with Rollout Records. And what do you think the impact's been on like your mental health and like happiness?
Yeah, it's been positive. It's definitely been positive. I mean, there's times where it stresses me out, and I do think sometimes when I'm at work and other people are coming back from work and they're probably just like all chilling out, kind of like on the sofa watching TV, and everything's a distant memory. Whereas I kind of go back and I think, I need to do this and that. But all in all, positive. And it goes back to my first point that like work for me is I've never done a job like I don't not enjoy my job, but it's never been something that I've dreamt to do or something that I've always like strived to do. So having something that I actually really care about outside of work is like really important, just to kind of keep me like sane, just to have that motivation to kind of keep on like doing something. I think I don't know, if I wasn't doing the label or like kind of anything other than work, I'd be a bit more in a rut of I'm just working the old 9 till 5 and not really doing anything like with my life, like just one of those, just living from paycheck to paycheck, which I'm still doing at the moment, to be honest. But at least I've got the label in the background that just gives me a bit of like, if I don't know, make the dream. I'll never do it full time, but the dream would be to do like the music stuff full time. Like just having that kind of something outside of work that I'm motivated by and that I enjoy doing is really big. It's really big.
Oh, I 100% agree. It's like that's my life as well. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't hate my job, but I don't wake up every day being like that's what I want to do for that's like my life passion. But you're right, if you use like your job as a means to kind of like, to like fund the things you really want to do, it just makes everything a bit easier, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a weird balance to get, and I do understand it's like hard for people, especially with work, and obviously you need to work to make money, and like even the label needs money at some point. So it's a weird one, but yeah, I've really enjoyed it, and I think probably my mates and stuff around me would kind of say the same thing, that having something that just like drives me. Like I don't have like a girlfriend at the moment, so I don't have like other commitments there. With maybe I'd probably be a bit more committed to doing other stuff with them if maybe I had another half and things, but I'm just full on all guns blazing for the label. So I think if I wasn't doing the label, I don't really know what I'd be doing. Probably drinking too much and smoking more weed again. So
DJing, mate, producing music.
Yeah, that's a possibility as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's I think it's like it's something you don't really realize until you're in the working world. It's just, I feel like if you don't love your job, you kind of need something else. Like, I'm not saying you have to go and do what we're doing, like run a drum and bass record label or run a podcast, but you need kind of, I don't know, something, whether that's, I don't know, spending more time with mates or going to art exhibitions, because I just couldn't imagine life if I just went to work, came home, and then that was it.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree, and I think it's just having hobbies, and that goes hands in hand with kind of spending more time with people, whether it be mates or whether it just be like kind of random people that you bump into at various kind of, like you said, like art exhibitions or events or just kind of talks or anything like that. People that share a similar outlook on life and have got the same interests as you, spending time with them outside of work when work's just work. It's good for the head, honestly. That's the only thing I can say is it's just good for the head. So
so much. And I always find you meet the best people in music. Like, I've made so many mates just going to raves, because we're talking about this before, but like you, I go to raves alone. If I want to listen to a DJ or who I really want to see, I'm going to go alone. Sometimes I honestly prefer going alone.
Honestly, it's so funny that you say that. So some people, when I say I used to go to parties, I still go to parties by myself sometimes. They think I'm nuts. They think like, who is this guy? I'm like, you do realise I'm going to like listen to the music. Like if there's a DJ on that I really want to see, I'll always go. And I think like especially when I was at uni, maybe there was people that didn't want to go as much, but I ended up kind of dragging them because I'd come back and say what a sick time that I had.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I've met so many people from doing that, like the Razor guys, like we were chatting about before, like that, like Lucas and James when they were first starting out in Sheffield doing events and with the sound system. That was all just from meeting them in the smoking area, and I remember them coming up to me once and just thinking like, oh, by the way, like, we have noticed you like coming on yourself and having a good time on the front row all the time, and we do really appreciate you coming. And even something like that, so little, I was just like, yeah, honestly, mate, you don't need to thank me, like, thank you.
No.
So it was good, and I've met so many people from doing that, and like, yeah, some of my like longest friends from kind of parties, raves, and just random little bits and bobs here and there when I've took the plunge and just gone by myself.
Yeah. I feel you, man. I feel you. What was it when you first met the Raise guys? And for the audience, Raise is a sound system, a very, very fucking good sound system. I have you at that.
Yeah. I know it's Lucas has gone down south now, but James, I think it's Wes, and I can't remember the other guy's name. But honestly, mate, when I went to uni in Sheffield, so for a bit of background as well, like, I'm a big Sheffield United fan. Like, so I love going to the football as well. So half of me going to Sheffield for uni was the football. I had some expectations about the music, but not. It got way surpassed when I was there. It was like insane. Like the sound quality at the events was so good, and it was probably one of the things that I'll shout out James and Lucas for this, that got me into like the deeper, darker side of drum and bass. Hearing it out of like their sound systems, like it just blew my mind. I was like, this drum and bass is better than all the drum and bass I've listened to, and half of that is probably because it sounded so good. So yeah, loads of venues I went to in Sheffield: Night Kitchen, Hopeworks, Harley, and yeah, they always put on good events, and it was always a really good like vibe at their events. It was just everyone there was kind of like loving the music. I think because Sheffield's, when people say like I'm going to go to a big city up north, they probably think Manchester or Leeds, which is fair enough. But Sheffield was just going under the surface, and no one was like really bigging it up. But the people that were there were like, this is pretty much as good as the others, but just not everyone knows about it. So yeah, it was wicked meeting them guys. It's like when I first met them, they hadn't actually started Raise yet. Obviously Raise is doing big things now. It's crazy just seeing it like all over the place there, where they're doing like 4 or 5 gigs a weekend or something. So I knew they'd always like go far with it because they'd love the music, and they, in terms of like sound engineering, they know it to a T as well. So yeah, I had the best time at uni in Sheffield.
Nice.
Probably mainly because of them guys.
Nice, man. And like I love it because when I talk to you about the label, you sound so happy, man. You sound like you're actually loving it. It's good to hear.
Yeah, honestly, I'm quite a positive guy. I'm quite a chilled out guy, and I'm pretty positive, and I just love it. I mean, if I didn't love it, I wouldn't be doing it really, because I think just got to that age now where if you don't like something, just probably don't bother doing it. So I love the label. Honestly, it's my little baby. I'm probably annoyed people with it, chatting about it like sometimes. So to be fair, I don't really promo probably as much as I should when I'm out and about. But with my close mates, like when my mate Gareth, big up Gareth, when he comes and picks me up in the car, and sometimes I'm like, oh mate, been sent this tune, like you've got to listen to it, like you've got to listen to it, and just put it on in his car and drive around. And yeah, it's the novelty hasn't worn off. Like I honestly, yeah, I love doing the label. Like whether it will get even bigger and better, not really too bothered. I love the whole process of finding some good artists, getting the tunes out, getting them a little bit more well known. Like yeah, the whole process for it is wicked. Speaking
of promo, how have you kind of found that journey with social media, getting your name out? Because I find that to be my biggest challenge, because there's so much to learn so fast, and It can be interesting. It can be interesting, but how's it been for you?
That's probably like the hardest bit. Honestly, like I said, the whole reason I started getting into wanting to do a label is because I was spending all my time on SoundCloud when other people were on kind of social media. So yeah, it was hard. It's such a big part of it now, which kind of sucks because I like wish I was born like 20 years earlier or something. But you kind of get in the flow of it. You just got to be consistent. Like, I don't know if you saw, I did like a video of myself like speaking to announce the remix EP, and honestly, mate, you should have seen the amount of takes I had to do for that. And I just looked at like my photos on my phone, and there was just like 30-40 videos of me just like starting talking and then awkwardly like stopping talking or like mumbling or something and being like, oh, I can't use that. But it's little things like that. Like, it's just part of the game now, unfortunately, or fortunately. I mean, there's positives, like get your music out to more people like across the world. I know we seem to have quite a lot of people in the US that buy our tunes and have quite a lot of support for us, which is just like,
oh really? Damn.
Yeah,
nice.
It's weird. It's quite a decent little scene going over there, but obviously on the label distribution system, you can kind of see where people are buying your tunes from, and I think the US is the one below the UK, which is kind of mad.
Algorithm going to US, or do you promote on like Reddit as well?
No, I haven't used Reddit. Honestly, mainly just like Instagram, Facebook. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, I did download TikTok because I've been told that's the way to go. But even that, I'm really bad at. I'm just like one thing at a time. I've pretty much getting my head around Instagram now. I remember I got Instagram for the label before I even got it for myself. And shout out to Doug. This is where Doug helped out a little bit as well. Like, he's not massively good on social media either. But I was just thinking, like, oh, how do I even like do a story? I didn't know the difference between like doing a story and doing a post. Like, I had to learn like all of that, which I think for people that had probably used it like on a personal level for probably a few years prior to that were probably thinking like, what the hell is this guy doing? But yeah, I feel like I'm getting my head around it now. I've got a bit of a plan in my head of like when I post stuff to announce the release and various little bits that I tease and things like that I've just kind of like built over time. But yeah, that is the bit that's like, I don't know, it's I don't mind it because you have to do it, but it's the bit that I'm just a bit like, I wish I didn't. I wish I didn't have to do that bit, but it's fine.
I feel you. It's just like the whole journey with what you have to learn in terms of artwork, in terms of videos, in terms of making reels. Like, I still haven't cracked making reels yet. I can make very basic ones, but your reels looking pretty good, man. Like those little animated art pieces you have of like your label logo like pulsing. That looks pretty sick.
Yeah, I can't take credit for that. That's not me that made that, but yeah, shout out to Josh and George that have done our like kind of animations and things, because I know we sometimes just like, or I sometimes get in touch with them and say kind of this is what we're looking for and all of that, and their usual response, which probably what designers and like graphic designers hate, it's just people that don't do any kind of graphic design or haven't got like any artistic like flair just saying, can you do this? And they're like, well, like no, not really. Like, so yeah, that's taken a bit of getting used to and things, but like, yeah, Josh is really good. We've got like a template thing that we use for like all our paid releases now, and George that we've got on board for the remix EP, and he's done a few bits for us in the past, and they both like really like the music, like they're into their like electronic music and like drum and bass and stuff as well, so that always like helps having people that kind of like dig the tunes as well, just so you can kind of get a bit of an idea of what you should be doing when it comes to all that stuff.
It's true, because like, well, music's an art form, and then I find if you know the music, if you like the music as well, you kind of need your art to like kind of gel quite well with all of it. It's like there is a skill to it.
Yeah, it's a tough one, and like if in an ideal world, I'd love to spend way more money on artwork and do these all like really cool art pieces and get some like prints done up. But for like a small independent label, it's just probably not worth it. And I think we've gone for like the logo, like the character and kind of rolling around with the big hair and stuff. That we've kind of just said like, this is the logo for the label, and this will be like the focal point for kind of like all of our artworks now going forwards, because I think at the start we were thinking of it project by project, which is cool to have some specific art to go with that project, but it took so much time away from like us doing other promo bits and us finding more music and doing other little bits like that. So yeah, there's a balance. I mean, like, some of the artists and designers out there are so good, but I like how we've got it at the moment, because I think it's like, hopefully in years to come, if not already, people will see that logo and be like, that's Rollout, that's Rollout Records. So that's kind of the reasoning behind the artwork and stuff.
Yeah, and it's I saw like you've released some merch as well. Like, you're wearing merch right now, but you released some new. Yeah,
done a bit of merch. So there's a special one for the remix DP, which is like the kind of the Rollout logo, but kind of like multicolored kind of thing. So yeah, I think that will probably be done by the time this comes out. But if not, like, go get some merch, because yeah, that really helps, like, with the label stuff. And it's cool just to, when we've like done like little events and things, and you just like look around and you're like, yeah, loads of people wearing the t-shirt, like, that's sick.
Oh, that is sick, because that's you, that's your brand, that's what you've made. Just to see people like representing that, you know, care enough to buy it, it's quite special.
Yeah, no, 100%. And like some of them are like close mates, obviously, and some of them like a little bit kind of mates of mates, and people further afield, or even just people like a little bit further. I remember when we got the merch, and I don't know, I can't remember where they were from, but it wasn't in the UK, it was quite far. And we were thinking like, fuck, like, we didn't set the postage thinking that anyone was going to buy it that far away. But I'm cool, like, paying the postage for someone that's going to wear it in the States or wherever it was. Like, yeah. So yeah, no, it's cool. Yeah, I like doing the merch. It's nice, a nice kind of like balance of things, and it's cool just to see people like support it as well. Just another nice feeling that comes from the label, really.
Yeah, definitely, man. And speaking of like merch and all that stuff, what lies do you have any plans for the future? Like, you're doing the remix album right now, which is cool. Like, how I'm just keen to know, like, do you have like a vision for what you want to do, or do you just kind of want to day by day just enjoy it, or a bit of both?
Oh, what a loaded question! I should have known you were going to ask me that. Vision wise, like, I'd like to do more events, because I just think that I've always liked going to events, and I'm big into the sound systems and stuff. So I'd like to do more events. That's definitely one vision. Obviously, the whole event scene at the moment it's not the easiest thing to do, especially with the vibe that I want to do it, because I think I really like kind of like small rooms and like big sound systems, and like even for like the 3 events we've done, it's been in like a pub garden with our mate's sound system, pipe sound system, beetroot sound system. And it's always been good, because it's just been like small area, big sound system, and I think that's the vibe that I want to keep for all of our events. Like, however long I'm doing it, however big the events get, I always think small room, big sound system, low ceiling, ideally. That's the dream. So that's one of the visions, definitely more events. Project wise, just still like the whole ethos hasn't changed of getting upcoming producers to get on the label, and there's so many good upcoming producers out there at the moment that I don't think that will ever change. Like the remix DP, obviously we've got some bigger artists involved because it's a special project, and I'm sure we'll do another remix project at some point in the future. But in regards to the music side of things, just keeping on with the artists we've got involved. There's a few core artists, like we've said. One thing that I'd really want to do that I've seen a few labels do is like a writers camp, which I'd love to do. Just take a few artists that have released maybe a couple of times or something on the label, just to some like kind of Airbnb, set up like a couple of studios in there for a long weekend, get loads of them to like to collaborate together, because we've done a bit of that where we put people in contact with each other to kind of collaborate in things. But I'd love to do that with everyone in person, because that would be nice just to get everyone together, and it would be a bit more of a kind of label family, because there's people that have released on the label that I still haven't met yet.
Oh yeah, that's mad. That is, yeah.
And I know you speak to them all the time via email or whatever, but it would be nice to get everyone down in one roof and, you know, just have a few beers, and then next day make some tunes. And if nothing comes of it, nothing comes of it. But at the end of the day, it'll be like good fun, and everyone will be together. So that's definitely one thing that I'd like to do in the future as well. So yeah, like events, the writers camp would be cool, and then just keep on pushing more kind of like upcoming artists, and if they go on to big things, like I said earlier, that's great. Like Octavate that have released with us 3 times now. They've went on and did like an EP on like Dispatch, which like when I saw that I was just like, that's sick. I love Dispatch.
I love Dispatch, man. Such a good label.
Yeah, I love Dispatch. So yeah, that was like a really like cool moment. And like Cam, that's gone on to like Four Corners, and yeah, just like loads of like labels. And I remember like Vex, who's worked with us quite closely as well. He's kind of got a few things in the pipeline with some like bigger stuff, which has come from them just seeing our releases. So yeah, I mean, another vision, just like more artists, get them onto big things, and yeah, hopefully they'll send us a couple of tunes like sometime in the future. But if they don't, that's cool, because like I said, that was the whole ethos for the label in the first place. Just get upcoming artists, release their music because I think it's good, and if someone else that runs a bigger label and can give them more money or whatever, if it thinks that's good as well, then yeah, mission complete on my front.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, it's nice also to just be part of that journey for these upcoming artists, like people who've got such potential, and you're there at like basically step one, or like just early origins. Because I'm trying. Yeah, like it's just such a cool thing, man. I also like echo your sentiment that you just said earlier about good sound system, small room. I did want to say that,
I love it, mate. And that's props to Sheffield again. And it wasn't just like the Rays, and it was what was it called now? God, the name is just like forgotten in my head. But like Sinai.
Sinai. Yeah.
And like they used to do like little parties, and like they used to be like Roots, where it'd be like reggae in one room, and then like some drum and bass with jungle in the other room. And loads of like good sound systems that come out of there. And honestly, it's I always say to my mates now, and they'll vouch for this, that we've just turned into like proper sound system snobs now. Because like when we go to an event and we're just like, oh, this like it's good, but like the sound's like not as good as it could be. And like that's one thing that is kind of sad about like kind of being in Sheffield when the sound was so good with them sound systems upcoming. That yeah, I'm a proper sound system snob. Like with the events, like I will 100% get a good sound system in. And luckily, our mate Pipe and Doug's get involved in that quite a lot now as well. Runs like Beetroot sound system, so they mainly do reggae, but sometimes we can put his arm and get him to do some drum and bass as well. Nice.
I feel you with that. Like sometimes, you know, when I'm at an event and I'm like, yeah, this is good, but the sound's not clean enough. I can't really hear like yeah. For example, like recently, an example of a good sound system, like Fold in London has a sick sound system. It's loud, but it's clean. It's very clean. It's a good sound system. And I got to see Critical there, and it was just like imagine hearing a clean sound system. Well, you'll know very well from all the good sound systems, but a clean, loud sound system where you can hear everything without the DJs redlining, and you could, at the front, could just literally feel the bass going through my hair.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
In my mind, there's no better feeling. And I will say, like, as I've got older, I've made my way steadily a little bit further back.
Oh no, yeah, me too.
Not as close to the front as what I was before.
Me too. I can't. Depending on the event, I just can't handle it anymore. I want space to dance.
I always say that to my mate. I'm always like, oh, it is a sign that we're getting older, that like we are standing a little bit further back. Whereas I think through a combination of various things, we were always at the front having probably too much of a good time. But yeah, I still love the sound like this. Yeah, like I said, for events, I'll never. I say this now, but I don't think I'll ever do an event with like an in-house sound system unless I really rate it. I'd always like, so now when I've kind of inquired about little events here and there, on my inquiry, I'm always saying like, so do you allow to bring your own kind of sound systems in? Because that's always like my first question. And if they say no to that, I'm like, it's probably not going to work.
Yeah, that's the thing. You touched on about getting people who normally have like do reggae events only, getting them to come to you for like a D&B event. And it got me thinking, it's like, do you ever see like what you release on your label changing, like in terms of, I don't know, different styles of D&B or 140 or dubstep? What are your thoughts on that?
Another big loaded question that.
Or even techno. No, not techno. It won't be.
At the moment, probably not.
Yeah.
Just because I think we're still in the early stages. I want to kind of like solidify a sound where people recognise the sound, and go to the label knowing that's the kind of sound when we release some tunes. So I'm not against it. I mean, this is me just sounded like a proper drum and bass head now, but like I'll go a bit like liquidy sometimes, and like Cam, big up Cam, he makes some such good liquid tunes that he'll definitely be involved again in the future with kind of like a liquidy tune and then something a little bit heavier, and a little bit more steppy. And we do quite a lot of like actual jungle as well. Like Vex actually smashes it with the jungle. He always makes some like wicked jungle tunes. But in terms of like different genres, like I haven't really thought about that at the moment. We have been sent a few 140 bits from some producers we've worked with in the past, and they sound pretty good. But I just I'm not ready for it just yet.
Yeah.
Like perhaps maybe in the future, but at the moment just like focusing on the deep dark stuff, because I haven't got bored of that yet.
I love the deep dark stuff, but I kind of feel you as well with like, you know, having that familiar sound. Like when you said that, I instantly thought of Sofa Sound. Like, you know, with Sofa Sound, they've got that distinct. Sometimes like you hear a track and I haven't heard the track and I'm just like, I bet that's out on Sofa Sound.
Yeah, no, I really rate it when like labels have got a sound that they just like push. I mean, there's a few labels like it that you might not have heard of, like Identity Records. Like the guy that runs that, Adam, he's released from the Remix DP, and one thing I really love about their label is always like the minimal, like really minimal deep stuff, and every release is like that. And there's a few labels like that I always rate it when I just think it's one of those things where you just you put it like into your Bandcamp basket or your Beatport basket, but like probably before you've even heard like more than 4 bars, because you're just that's I'm gonna like it, so I'm just gonna roll with it. So yeah, it's I do want to keep on like pushing the sound, and we have like I said, like liquid and jungle and random other bits, but would be like a nice goal of people being like, that sounds like a rollout tune. that would be a nice feeling.
Yeah, I feel you with that, man. But you'll get, you like, I'm sure you're getting there even now. Like you had a lot of releases now, man, and
I mean, we to be fair, we don't go too crazy on the releases, and there's reasons for that financially and because of work. That we usually like one every 2 months, and like I would like to release more music, maybe probably like once every month, but that's a lot more work, like in regards to your as the release is coming out, as your promo and one release coming out, you're doing all this other stuff in the next release. And I do kind of like the little gap, because it just gives me a bit of time just to properly plan out what I'm doing. But so the remix LP will be, well, it's a slightly different one, but that'll be like our 14th paid release, and then the 15th one's coming in May, and we've got stuff lined up for the rest of the year. So yes, nice. It's looking healthy, mate. It's looking healthy. It hasn't. It's not slowing down. Like I said, if anything, it's getting a little bit faster, which I'm all for.
Yeah, definitely part of the journey. So, like, one thing I thought to ask you, I don't know where it came from, is when we're talking about social media. But what do you think about, like, what's it like? You know, you run your own record label, and you know we're now living in like this world of AI, where there are AI tools to produce music and help you and whatnot. Have you ever kind of thought about that in terms of when you're listening to tracks or things you have to spot, or I don't know, or any fears with it, or you know, any kind of things that you think are good coming out of it?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really put too much thought into it. If I knew more about social media, which I probably should, then I probably would have more of a view on it. I mean, like, plain and simply, my view on it is that like social media, like you can get to a bigger audience, more people can like listen to your stuff, more people that know what you're about. I mean, there is like disadvantages to it as well. I mean, some stuff is put on social media for the fact of it being social media. I mean, that's probably why I haven't been the whole big guy on TikTok, because I just like sometimes like see some stuff that's on there and it just like, maybe I'm getting old, but it just makes me cringe out so much. So ups and downs. One thing that I would say that I really hate is like everyone, like when you see like pictures of like a party or an event or something and everyone's got their phone out and that honestly, like that's kind of linked into the social media point, and that's another thing that makes me wish I was born like 20 years earlier, because I just think like the vibe of the parties would be so much better. So yeah, that's one thing that makes me cringe out, and I assume that's probably linked into some guy thinking, yeah, I'm gonna put this on social media when I get home, and everyone's gonna love it.
It's just,
can you just love it while you're there?
this is why I like venues like Fold, where it's no cameras policy, and like they cover your phone, kind of like they do in Berlin. But Berlin was actually great for that. Never see anyone with their phone out because you're not allowed, and it just is. I find it's when I kind of don't like it now when a DJ pulls it back, because a lot of the time it's like they're playing a good track, they'll pull it back, and then it gives everyone an opportunity to get their phones out and record it, and it kind of destroys the atmosphere a bit. And look, I get it on like whoever's organising the event. It's good for promo, it's good for social media, it does help them, but I don't know, I don't want to sound too much like a boomer, but I love it more when I go to these events when phones aren't allowed on the dance floor. Everyone's just dancing, everyone's enjoying it. I admit I used to take a lot of videos when I was younger, but I've kind of stopped now because I don't really go back and look at those videos that much. I might occasionally, but I'm just trying to like not anymore. But each to their own. Like, if it brings you happiness, and we're all going to probably have memory loss at one point in our life, so I kind of get it.
I'm so really bad at taking videos. Like, if you ask any of my mates, if I happen to have taken a couple of videos when I'm out, it's like usually the worst video you've ever seen in your life. Like, I've got an iPhone 7, mate, and as we were saying earlier, like, I didn't even realise there's like iPhone 15 out now, so my camera's lagging well behind. So yeah, I know it just doesn't come into my head when I'm out to get my phone out. Like, it like it's the last thing on my mind. I mean, fair play, it's kind of like just generation thing probably, and I understand why people do it. And like you said, it does help for promo. I remember like, when we get a release out, we're always like, yeah, if you get any videos of you like playing out, like definitely send them over because it really helps. And I was thinking, like, if I was in that situation, I would definitely not remember to like get my phone out and take a video, but you got to ask, haven't you?
Yeah. Something else I wanted to ask you, earlier when I was speaking about AI, one thing I thought about was, so I'm not sure if you've seen, but there's this techno DJ called Reiner who he's created his own artificial intelligence program based on all his music, so that he's going to be doing this live set. So based on all his music, he gives it a command of something he wants to hear, and it makes in the moment music that's never been heard, but all based on his own music, which is quite. It's a interesting.
That's just blown my mind.
Yeah, it's. I don't know if I like it or not. I think it's clever what he's done, but the first thing I think about is, what if you feed everyone's tunes in? It's kind of, because at the end of the day, if the AI is learning off other people's tunes, in my eyes, it's stealing someone else's art without their consent.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that, to be honest. I just think it's just one step further away than like when all kind of like jungle and drum and bass and things started in like the 90s, where it's just like really authentic, and like you just go and chop up a few breaks and sample this and that, and it was just like, yeah, that's my tune. I mean, like, fair play to him for putting that together. It sounds like a bit of a mission, but I don't know, I wouldn't like go and watch him because of that. Like, if anything, I'd rather watch someone that was doing the complete opposite, that was just like playing their own stuff authentically. That, I don't know, you hear stories about these like producers that like they're on their laptop like on the train to a gig, and they're like, I've just finished a tune and now I'm going to play it, and it's going to be the first time I hear it. And I was like, yeah, that's wicked. Like, not some supercomputer like doing some mad stuff. So yeah, not for me. But
to be honest, I think the underground will stay more true because there is a culture with it, and people, if you're fucking about and getting AI to DJ for you, people will know and people call you out. But I think within the mainstream, I think that's where the use is going to come. Like, you've already got DJs like Ghetto, who doesn't even know how to DJ and presses play, or like, I could see it more in terms of music production getting almost replacing ghostwriters, where like for the mainstream, where someone might have made the beats, they might get AI to do that and then get the vocalist over, because I think you're always going to need in those kind of genres, you always need a bit of a face for the music.
Yeah, it's a weird one, that. I mean, I don't produce loads. I've like dabbled in it a bit before, so I can't really comment. But if you ask me, that just sounds like, I wouldn't feel proud if I was putting some music out that I'd like put through some kind of AI, or some AI adds some input on it, because at the end of the day, like, people make music from the heart and like from moods. I mean, people make music because, I don't know, I'm feeling like kind of a bit down and stuff. Maybe I'll make something a little bit kind of like mellow and chilled and stuff, and then people are feeling other ways that they'll make stuff that's a little bit kind of like darker or whatever. I mean, it just takes it away from people making music for the reasons they should be making music. So
completely agreed, and I fit
me, mate, thumbs down for me. Fuck that.
Yeah. Fuck that. But man, I think that's a nice way to kind of to end the episode. It's been good recording with you, man. Like, we've basically done an hour, I think.
Nice.
It's flown
yeah,
by.
no, it's been good. No, thanks so much for getting me on. Like I said, it's full circle moment, isn't it? So it's good to see you again as well.
Yeah.
It's good, man. And it's like, I really hope all this recordings works and everything didn't fail. Could you imagine we finished the episode and, well, at least we've got the audio recordings, but if we so that's like the good backup. But before we kind of stop, man, shout out your stuff. Where do we find you on social media? Where do we follow you? Where can you be seen? Shout out wherever you want, whether it's yourself, people, or nothing.
Yeah, well, yeah, at Rollout Records UK on Instagram. That's probably the one that I've just about mastered or getting there. Same Rollout Records on Facebook. Shout out to like all the people that have been involved, like Doug from the start. Not as involved so much anymore, but like he will always be part of the label. Like Scott, like Gareth, Pipe, Beetroot Sound System, shout Beetroot Sound System, shout the Raise guys, shout the Displaced guys, James and Lucas for making me fall in love with this music even more than I thought I could. Yeah, and shout out all the artists that released on Rollout, because yeah, go check them out. All of the core artists like Vex, Melodrama, Bass Dubbers, Cam, TMPZ. All of those guys, just go have a look at our page. You might find a producer that you hadn't heard of before, but have a listen to their music, you might like it. So, yeah, that's all I've got to say. And big up yourself, mate, for doing the whole podcast, because I know when we met, you were like, it was just an idea, but like making it come to like fruition. And I've enjoyed listening to the other ones as well. Like, I've learned a lot, and there's some really interesting people that you've met and spoken to. So, yeah. Big up yourself as well, mate.
Thanks, man. Just, you know, meeting all my guests from travelling. There's always going to get interesting people. But thank you. I actually wanted to ask you one quick question before we stop, because I forgot to ask this before. If you could, who's your dream musician to release on your label? If you could pick anyone.
People are going to know this. It's Amos.
Ah, nice. Good fucking choice.
Honestly, like, people that know me would like literally be able to answer that before I even said it. Amos is the dream, mate, and like I loved his music ages ago. Still love his music now. When he's like promoted some of our tunes, like dropped like one of the remixes in his Cool FM mix, and has downloaded some other tunes and played them on his podcast, and probably played them out as well. But I haven't actually seen it yet. I mean, the day that I see Amos play a Rollout tune out, that's like, I'll die a happy man. So yeah, no, Amos definitely. There's so many to choose from, but Amos is, he's like one of my favourites and still going strong.
Maybe at the Flex Out Day Party in London.
Yeah, oh god, that would be good, man. That's the Displacer barbecue the same day, so I won't be there. But yeah, if you're going, mate, yeah, let me know if you drops any of the Rollout tunes, and don't get your phone out videoing it.
Will do, mate. Will do. But yeah, good to have you on, mate.